Well, welcome back, friends. Another big hour of Friday Live on this last Friday in February, February 24th. I'm Jim.
And this is Cheryl.
Happy
Welcome
to
back.
have you here. And coming up this hour, of course, as we do every 5 o'clock hour on the Friday program, we have our gospel reading for this coming Sunday, which happens to be the first Sunday of Lent. And our reflection today is by our good friend, Father Jim Grogan. We're also going to be joined by Rachel Hendricks a little later on, and she's, of course, from the pro-life ministry here in the Diocese of Trenton.
And I guess we haven't spoken with her since the pro-life march and all the activity at the end of January.
That's right. So, that's already mid-January that happened, right?
I know. But she'll be full of information because they don't stop. It's not just the end of January for her and all of her faithful volunteers and staff members and people that just fervently devote themselves to the mission of getting others to be pro-life as well.
That's right. So I want to thank Rachel for participating with us every week. It's a commitment, a nice commitment, and nice to have her here. So, All right, so I guess we can begin. Read slowly because I have to get Father's...
Oh, okay. You take your time
Here
as
you
I go into our first Sunday of Lent. This is a reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time, Jesus was led by the Spirit into the desert to be tempted by the devil. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was hungry. The tempter approached and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command that these stones become loaves of bread." He said in reply, "It is written, one does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes forth from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and made him stand on the parapet of the temple and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command his angels concerning you, and with their hands they will support you, lest you dash your foot against a stone." Jesus answered him, "Again, it is written, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test." Then the devil took him up to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in their magnificence. And he said to him, "All these I shall give to you, if you will prostrate yourself and worship me." At this Jesus said to him, "Get away, Satan. It is written, the Lord your God shall you worship, and him alone shall you serve." Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him. The gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
This week, we have entered Lent. I get excited about Lent as a season of change, even though many psychologists will tell us that for most people, change is difficult. We like the comfort of sameness. We navigate typical days more easily than days filled with chaos. When we look around, however, and perhaps review our days, such as with the Ignatian Examen, we find that most days have at least a bit of chaos. And look at those days we might consider exceptional. We admit that they are different. The days we label exceptional in many ways seem different from the ordinary days of our lives. In this lies my excitement for the season of Lent. Last Saturday, our gospel reading recounted the transfiguration of the Lord. The gospel speaks of a remarkable revelation to Peter, James, and John, some of those closest to Jesus, in which they were given a glimpse into the glorified Jesus, speaking to Moses and Elijah. The Transfiguration always reminds me that every single person is called to experience transfiguration in our lives. We are invited during Lent to look for the ways that Jesus may offer the grace of change in our lives. I'd hope that none of us pray as adults in the same way we prayed when children. And I would venture that we hopefully pray differently this year than we did 5 years ago, or even last year. In his examen prayer, St. Ignatius of Loyola invites participants to look at each day through the eyes of faith, to see what happened that drew us closer to God, as well as those experiences that push us away from Jesus. We begin this daily process of asking God to illuminate our minds to see his presence in our days, and we conclude the reflection by asking God for the grace needed in the day ahead. Simply put, this prayer opens us up humbly to recognize that we are the creature, not the creator, and in faith to count on the promise that Jesus is with us always. So we ask for his grace. If each of us were to follow this process of reflection for the 40 days of Lent, imagine how more alert we would be to the presence of Jesus in our days. Or perhaps better put, aware of what circumstances draw us away from authentic discipleship. Each of us are made in the image and likeness of God, as taught in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. We tarnish that human dignity when we sin, but we can never remove the God-given dignity of every person. Seeking to be transfigured spiritually during Lent opens us up to receive God's grace and to put it to use in our lives. Each reading this weekend speaks to sinfulness, to our human failings in our relationship with one another. The first reading from Genesis recounts the conversation between Eve and the serpent, Satan, who challenges her with the question as to whether God really told her not to eat of that tree. Eve answers yes, but is then swayed by the tempter. This is followed in Paul's letter to the Romans, where he states, "And the gift is not like the result of one who has sinned, having told us that the gracious gift is the one man, Jesus Christ, overflows for many." Jesus Christ is the gift. And Jesus reminds us in our gospel, "Get away, Satan. It is written, the Lord your God shall you worship, and him alone shall you serve." You see, when we sin, we break our relationship with Jesus by putting worldly temptations ahead of listening to God. By choosing to follow God's guidance and not worldly advice, we embrace Jesus' gift of holiness and allow him to shape our response to temptations. The 40 days of Lent allow us to practice that discernment, to recognize in each day the ways we step away from Jesus and the ways we draw close to him. I've heard it said that when we practice something for 21 days, it becomes habitual to us. The 40 days of Lent are nearly twice that practice. So imagine how deeply within us following Jesus' guidance can become. The examen prayer and reflecting each day on the good that we do helps us to make the change our own. Jesus will imprint his loving heart upon our heart. Ask God to show me how my days are seen through his eyes. Give thanks for the day we just experienced under his care. With the grace of the Holy Spirit, look at our day just finished. Humbly see our mistakes before God, who loves us even when we stumble. And finally, we ask God for the grace we will need in the day ahead. Perhaps finish that examen and reflection with today's psalm, which we can apply every day. Be merciful, O Lord, for we have sinned.
Come, beloved, and rest your mind. Leave the things of this world behind. Here
righty, welcome back, and into the desert we go. I wish we were going back to the desert.
Oh, you read my mind, my words and sentiments exactly. And desert seems to be the running theme this entire several weeks leading up to Lent. Of course, we were physically there, but then in our bulletin there was a beautiful reflection about the 40 days of Lent and how it's, we're supposed to model Jesus in the desert. Where can we create that desert? Okay, we all can't physically go there, but can you go somewhere, whether it's adoration or a quiet room in your house for an hour, for a half hour, for 15 minutes to create that desert solitude? So it was all about the desert and how we can try to create that vacuum of silence so we can hear God speaking to us. And then somebody sent me this song, Sarah Hart, and she has another one called In the Desert Follow Me. So I think she's on the desert kick as well. And they're just beautiful, simple songs with that desert message. It's coming to me
Like
left
a horse
and
with
right.
no name.
Yeah.
When I was searching
In
for
the
this song,
desert.
that's what came up. I put In the Desert, and then the horse with no name came up on my little file there.
Don't
I
you
didn't
love
quite think that was it.
that? Yeah. Well, there's a lot of pieces with the word desert in it, I guess.
I guess. In the
Or
desert.
dessert if you misspell it.
That's
I
true.
saw another paragraph, and it was Dessert.
Into
I
the
thought,
desert.
Sign me up.
That's like
I'll
a Three
go.
Stooge comedy. Did your teacher tell you how to differentiate, give you a little trick how to differentiate between desert and dessert?
Let me say, no, but I'm going to take a guess. Is it there's an extra S for like sugar?
Well, I remember 5th grade, Miss Safko, God rest her soul, said, which would you rather have more of? Of course, we would probably say desert these days than dessert, but
I don't know. it'd be
but
a
that
tie
was
for
that
me.
was little trick to help us 5th graders remember how to spell the difference between desert and dessert. Which would you rather have more of?
The dessert, so then more.
So
add
there's
an extra
more
S.
an extra S. Sure.
But it could be S for sugar.
It could be, but your teacher didn't give you a trick.
No. No. We learned to just spell. Just
Well, we did
spell.
too, but she helped us because we
needed
weren't that bright.
We
I
were in
remember
the-
one time, God, and I probably shouldn't mention his name because he's still alive and he's a very prominent business person in New Brunswick. But
What's his name?
I can't say his name.
I thought I'd catch it.
Huh?
I thought I'd catch it.
No, I can't say his name. He's a good guy. Anyway, he always had trouble reading, and when I remember they used to make us stand up and read. Like the next person would stand up and read the next paragraph.
Yes.
Well, he did, and there was I don't know what must have been a science book, but the word was manganese,
Manganese.
which is a mineral or something. Manganese, right? Mm-hmm. He got to that word and he stopped, and Sister said, "Come on, what is it? Sound it out." Mayonnaise.
Well, that
And
could be a science
The whole
experiment.
class just went. It feels so bad.
I know.
But those days, you just feel that the poor kid, made a. It's not mayonnaise. It's manganese.
I know.
Sister wasn't that patient with him.
It's terrible. But, you know,
Anyway, he's a very prominent businessman now in the New Brunswick area. So he's
but don't you think that could really damage somebody for a long time?
well,
People, the people laughing at him. Like he might not even remember the particulars, but he remembered, man, in school, like people laughed at me.
yeah,
I
but
don't-
I think it for someone who myself I was bullied when I was a kid because of my handicap. Kids used to make fun of me and that it used to upset me, but I think it made me stronger. I don't get you don't bully me now, but it must have been kindergarten or 1st grade. We were in gym class, and again, Sister was the gym teacher. I don't know how different nun, but we had to get hold ourselves up with our legs and our hands behind us, like kind of walk like a spider.
Yeah, right.
And I was doing it, and the kid next to me couldn't do it, and Sister was kind of just chastising him. Come on, you can look at him; he can do it, and there's something wrong with him.
Oh my!
I still remember
gosh.
it.
Did you go home and tell your mother?
I probably didn't care.
Yeah,
It
no.
didn't bother me. Okay, so yeah, right.
we're
Yeah, but I'm
kids, you
doing
know.
it. I'm doing it. And he's not. So I
you go.
overcame whatever the problem here is.
Oh, a teacher would never do that to them.
I know, but I think it makes us. I think it makes us stronger. I think it makes us. For me anyway. Just anytime I had situations like that. Okay, well, fine. It's like, don't tell me
That
I
I
can't do something.
All right.
Because if you tell me that, I will prove to you I can.
Right.
Like when I
that
was
still rings through
to this
today.
day.
Yeah, so there's an effect there. I don't know. Today we're definitely more sensitive to the point of being overly sensitive and overly like trying to be politically correct. It's gone overboard. But there is a fine line of trying to be sensitive to someone.
True, but I just think that there's a
It made you tough. Right?
it makes you get,
You're
it
no there.
toughens you up a little bit. You have to learn how to lose because in life you do lose. You don't get a trophy for losing. You lose. You got to try harder and make it better the next time.
Right.
I don't remember with our kids. That was the transition point. We were raising our kids. I don't remember them getting a lot of trophies.
No.
For doing nothing.
Right.
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 They got a trophy if they accomplished something or won something.
You had
yeah.
to earn them. Even when Anthony was in that, I guess was it Little League or something? They lost like every
Yeah,
game.
he was on
Remember?
the Bad News Bears.
It was like the bad news.
It was a
Bears.
CYO team they put together for 1 year when he was in 6th grade, and I
Yeah.
helped. I was there helping them.
You
but
helped a couple
they
other
were
dads.
poor. They were not good. They were.
Yeah.
Not, I don't think they got any hits. I mean, my goodness, but yeah.
No.
But
Well,
there was-
it's the first year. You have to, keep practicing
Right.
and overcome. But
Right.
I can just remember the kids out in the field, like that movie, like catching flies and.
One kid, remember he refused. The ball came out. I'm not doing it. I'm not getting it. And the ball went by him. 6th grade. They was like they were babies. They were
Yeah.
12 years old.
Yeah.
But I do think it toughened you up a bit. I just think it. They were. And when I grew up in the neighborhood, there were kids. You had fights, and you had your disagreement. You had physical altercations at times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the time I threw a bat at Tommy Doherty.
Did you actually hit him?
Yeah. I was at bat. It was the last out, and I popped up, and Tommy was going to catch the ball, so he's looking up, and I was so mad I threw the bat and it hit him right in the head.
Was he on the other team?
Yeah, would have been the 3rd out of the game, and I would have made it, and I didn't want to do that.
Oh, dear. I think we needed to be making better choices, James.
Yeah, well, that's what the nuns used to say sometimes to me because I was always like the favorite son. But then when I'd get in trouble, James, this can't be. I'm sorry, sister. I didn't mean to. I'm
So
sorry.
you needed 6 weeks of Lent.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fond memories, though. Catholic school memory. I have I know some people didn't like high school and but I had a great time in grammar school and high school.
I would imagine it was very much like a family. So in your school, was there one of every grade? Or
2.
All right, so it was big.
2 of every grade, sure.
Yeah.
7A, 7B, 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
Because it was closed now, St. Peter's in New Brunswick, both the elementary school, and most of us who were in the elementary school went on to the high school right there, same campus.
Yes.
So it was, we knew each other. That's why a lot of these people that we'll be seeing in a couple of months at my 50th high school reunion, we've known each other probably, most of us, since grammar school, kindergarten.
Hence, no desserts
No desserts.
between now and June 3rd.
That's right. But and the nuns were all they were Carmelite, fully habited brown habits with the white chin strap and the heavy rosary beads hanging on the
Serious
side.
nuns.
Yeah, they were
They didn't
serious
fool
nuns.
around.
No, not messing around. I showed you the picture of my kindergarten picture. And there's like 49 kids in it and one nun.
Right.
No aides. Just one fully habited Carmelite nun and 49 5-year-olds.
And I bet it was
6-year-olds.
quiet as anything.
I don't remember any disruption ever, ever. I don't remember any. And if there was, it wasn't tolerated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's,
Was that at a time when there was still where they would have you like kneel on rice or hold a ruler up to the blackboard or, not that they were slapping you, but.
Oh, I got smacked.
You did?
I got smacked. Sister Miriam Thomas smacked me in 3rd grade.
3rd grade.
3rd grade. Well, she was taking us downstairs or going to the cafeteria or something, and it was 2 by 2, and she was holding the door, and I forget why, but I went around behind her, and I must have rubbed against her the wrong way. Who is this? Mr. Manfredonia. And just smacked me in the face.
Wow.
But hey, you know what? I had a great
You never
time.
did it again.
Well, no, but I mean, didn't. But she did have a metal ruler in her desk. She would take the kids' hands literally and smack the hands with the metal ruler if they did something naughty.
It had to sting and leave a red
That was the
mark.
point.
Yeah.
What good is doing it if it doesn't leave a mark?
Yeah. I had a friend who was in Catholic school. I was in public school. And she would come home and tell me stories. And even to this day, she goes, I spent more time sitting in the principal's office, like waiting for my parents to come.
I don't remember being that bad, but I don't remember. I guess I was smacked. I don't think I had my hand hit with the ruler. Sister Nicoletta did pick Rich Cusimano up and throw him into the cloakroom. I remember. Literally picked him up by the collar in 7th grade and poof, threw him into the closet. But you know what? I think it was great. I don't have any. We sent our kids to Catholic school. I just think the discipline was good, and
Certainly
we had a
better
few
than-
incidents that wouldn't be tolerated today. But when I was teaching high school at St. Peter's, I went back like Welcome Back, Cotter. There was a kid and I was teaching, and he was so fresh. And I was 23 or 24 years old, and he was just smirking. I said, "Get that smirk off your face." And he wouldn't. I said, call him by his neck. Get that smirk. And I grabbed him by the hair. I said, "Get that smirk off your face right now." And he did, but couldn't do that today.
No.
Couldn't
oh
grab
my
him by the head.
You couldn't go within their personal space. Are you kidding?
But, hey, listen.
And that's why the schools are running wild.
And it wasn't limited to Catholic schools. There was corporal punishment in public schools as well in those days. Kids did get hit, and they were punished, spanking and things. It wasn't unusual. And then none of that all changed.
And we're not the worse for the wear.
You never got smacked. I bet you were probably goody.
I was pretty good. I loved school. But there was stuff that happened, but I was pretty quiet. I was kind of like the butterfly in the corner. I didn't cause any trouble or
You got all A's.
almost. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I was pretty much on the honor roll and all that stuff. But I loved learning.
I wasn't very studious. That's why my mother used to laugh when I became a teacher. I can't believe you became a teacher. You hated school.
I know. Well, you know what? It does happen that way. Again, not mentioning any names because she's a very upstanding, well-respected teacher now, doing a fine job, and the girls all love her and the sisters all love her. But I'll tell you, she was the one that was sent home from the high school trip when they found like vodka hidden in the toilet tank or something.
Yeah, that was a good hiding place.
That was pretty good.
I didn't do it, but I caught kids doing it. And when I was teaching, we had a
Really?
senior class trip up
Okay.
to that ski resort up in North Jersey by High Point. I forget the name of the Vernon Mountain or something. Was it? Anyway,
Vernon
was that what it was?
Valley or
Vernon Valley. Anyway, we went up there, and I was chaperone teacher, and I had to go around and do a check before they went to bed, and I went to one, and the girls were in there, and I opened the lid to the toilet tank, and they was just stocked with liquor.
Oh my God! So it must be a thing with these teens.
I guess that's
Wow.
almost 45 years ago.
Wow.
Stocked in bottles.
And
Ladies,
the
I'm
funny thing
ashamed.
is, so I was a chaperone on this trip. I wasn't a teacher there at the time. I just chaperoned, and we settled in. We got there by bus. Everybody checked into their room. It's going to be lights out. Get yourself unpacked. Put out your clothes for the morning. We had a program somewhere, and the first thing that the chaperones did was met in the hallway. Before they even said, okay, you're going to room 1 through 10 for lights out, you're going through 11 through 20, they said, what do you want from the liquor store? And so there was a designated person from this group of teachers and chaperones that were going to walk across the street and come back with their supplies. Yet, not 2 hours later, we were checking on the teens. But of course, they were
I waited
underage.
until it went to bed. Then I had my little
Oh,
nip of
sure.
scotch.
But I mean, it was just.
I know.
it's
At
just
different
kinda
times.
weird.
Today, you couldn't probably get away with any of that without
No,
being thrown
teachers
in
are
jail.
crazy.
Yeah.
I don't need. Do they even go away and stay overnight anymore?
I don't know. Well, okay, we'll take a break, and our good friend Rachel Hendricks, the director of Pro-Life Ministries here in the Diocese of Trenton, will be joining us. So you stay right where you are, friends. There is much more to come right here on Friday Live. Don't go away.
Trees to bear,
I guess if you had to put together a playlist for Lent, that'd be tops on the list, right?
Oh, that's right. Number one, indeed. Miss Rachel, how are you?
I am well, Cheryl. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. We've been
Fine.
thinking about you. Extra busy time of year.
When is it not a busy time?
I
We
know.
always laugh when we say, "Oh, the summer will be the slow time,"
No,
right? And
no.
really, is there a slow time? I don't think
No.
so.
No.
We were saying we haven't spoken with you since the March back in January, and so I'm sure there's a lot to cover today and talk about. But how did everything in Washington go from your perspective?
Everything seemed to have gone great. Now, you'll recall that I did not go down to Washington this year because we held quite a big
In
event,
Freehold.
a couple of events
Right.
at
Yeah.
the Coke Cathedral in Freehold.
Yeah.
However, it was a remarkable day in Washington, D.C., according to those colleagues and contacts that I have who traveled down there. Our diocese really pulled it together. There were an incredible number of buses that went down, many of them full, down to Washington, D.C. to march not to the Supreme Court this year, but to march to the Capitol building, where we have our next battle. You know, for 50 years, we were fighting that fight to overturn Roe, which just was an egregious decision that was really made up. You know, it was nothing about a right to abortion was embedded in that 14th Amendment and right to privacy. And so finally that was overturned. So now they marched to the Capitol building, where, you know, we still have serious issues regarding abortion, especially regarding the legality of the abortion pill, mailing it through the mail across state lines without seeing a doctor, things like the Hyde Amendment that is so important to maintain because that's what's protecting our federal dollars from going toward paying for abortions. And so we saw a big battle to fight there. So I was really grateful for all the people that traveled down to D.C. To stand for life together with the tens of thousands that came. It really was a remarkable turnout, especially in a year where, like, nobody really knew what was going to happen this year. Were people all going to stay in their own states?
Right.
Were they going to travel down? But it was a remarkable event.
And as you say, the diocese also had a very special event that same day at the Co-Cathedral, St. Robert Bellarmine in Freehold, which we broadcast. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, that was, again, another remarkable event. So on the same day that the people from our diocese showed up and traveled down to D.C., we had a record number of people show up for the Mass for Life with Bishop at the Co-Cathedral. It's Monsignor Sam Sirianni, who's pastor there at St. Robert Co-Cathedral. He estimated about 700 or maybe more than 700 people came to the Mass at 11 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. It's a work day,
It's
right?
amazing.
We had a multi-generational group of people that came. There were babies there. There were high school students there. There were older people there. There were people from every walk. We had non-Catholics there. We had Christian supporters of pregnancy centers there, all together in solidarity and prayer to uphold the sanctity of all human life. It was remarkable.
That's beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Bishop's homily was off the charts. I mean, I really encourage all of you, if you weren't able to be there and you are interested to hear Bishop's homily, pretty much everything I talk about today, you'll be able to find on the website that I maintain, which is Diocese of Trenton. Oh, that's right. Sorry, getting confused. dioceseoftrenton.org/respect-life-ministry. And if you visit that site looking for something and you don't find what you're looking for, all of my contact information is on there. But going back to Bishop's homily, our wonderful multimedia department live streamed the whole Mass and then kind of clipped out Bishop's homily so that people could hear that. And it's remarkable. I mean, the feedback on his homily was incredible. People were feeling like a new sense of exuberance and enthusiasm. And I'm telling you, in a state like New Jersey, with what's going on in increasing permissiveness for abortion,
Right.
It's a time when you would think people would feel a little beaten down, right?
Right.
That was not the case. It was, and even our speaker, Charlie Camosi, in the beginning of his talk, he said, I don't know about you guys, but I want to run through a wall for that bishop. After hearing that homily, he said it's going to be a tough act to follow, for his talk that followed in the seminar that we had after the Mass. So I would encourage everybody to go listen to Bishop's homily from that January 20th event.
And is part of the seminar there as well online?
The seminar, so we sold out. We had room for about 200 people. We actually pushed it to about 210 or 215. We sold out before our registration deadline. And the concept that we had about pulling people together for the seminar went beyond the normal kind of audience that we usually seek for a pro-life event. And we really intentionally invited many people who are involved in other ministry work that are more considered social concerns and social justice work. People from food pantries, St. Vincent de Paul societies. We had Catholic Charities there. So it was a very diverse. We had Holy Innocents Society. They care for our Catholic constituents that have intellectual disabilities. We had a broad range of constituencies there because we really want to develop a culture of life in our church and in our parishes. And to build a culture of life, it really is the work of the whole church. And to kind of just try to segment our population out according to different areas of the culture of life, it has a tendency to push ourselves into kind of like silos, and we don't see the connectedness of the work that we do. And by drawing together this diverse audience intentionally, it really it opened the eyes of a lot of people, a lot of the staunch pro-lifers, hearing the stories of the people that are caring for the poor, because we had the opportunity for table discussions as well. And then for those that care for the poor to hear more about the issues related to not only abortion, but end-of-life issues as well, although today was focused a little bit more on the abortion issue as we had it on the day of the March for Life. But some of the comments that came out were just like people felt like it was a shot of adrenaline for them. Being together with that mix of people really opened their eyes, and they were anxious to get back to their parishes and talk to others about what they had heard and the new seeds of ministry work that were being planted that day. Our speaker, Dr. Charlie Camosi, really did a remarkable job, I think. He opened up talking about the church's longstanding teaching about the sanctity of life, all the way back to the Didache, that ancient document, like the ancient catechism, right? And then he talked about the work of some more recent bishops and cardinals, Cardinal Bernardine from the 1980s, and his, how he was a staunch pro-life advocate across the spectrum of ages, and into, all our popes since John Paul II, Pope Paul VI, Pope Benedict. It was a very, very rich but really accessible talk. And then, he talked about various other things too, and drew us into the complexity of the decision for an abortion and the different social structures, the different difficulties people have in poverty, and some healthcare issues, all of these obstacles that women and families that are in experiencing a difficult pregnancy or an unexpected pregnancy, these obstacles often make them feel coerced into the abortion decision. And he opened our eyes to how we need to think a little bit differently. We kind of have to realign our thinking a little bit so that we can open the doors to people, maybe through legislative action, maybe through our work in ministries and churches, to make sure that the choice for life is accessible for everyone.
Yeah.
It's almost, I was going to say, it's almost as if God knew that his talk was going to focus on all those things, the many levels, the complexities. And what did you do but answer Jesus' call to cast out the net and bring in all those variety of ministries, not just those that are standing in front and praying in front of the abortion mill. I mean, there's so many that are a part of pro-life, as you say, ministering to the poor or caring for the babies afterward or helping the unwed mothers. It just really sounds like, they say it takes a village to raise a child. We need all of these people on board in our pro-life community.
Right, that's right. And it's not like everybody has to do the same work. But to see the interconnectedness, I've mentioned this before on the segment, but where we're seeing a big kind of inroad in that interconnectedness is those, particularly St. Vincent de Paul conferences that we have in so many of our parishes here in the Diocese of Trenton, where they already have a structure set up to help their neighbors in need. But by identifying that particular neighbor, that might be that girl or that woman who thinks she might be pregnant or is pregnant and is struggling, how can we reach out to her? She's a neighbor in need as well as the rest of the family, and we want to encourage the fathers too, in all of this, that they have a say, that they have a right to try to find resources to help the woman in their life who is experiencing pregnancy. This whole event was spirit-driven. We prayed a lot over what we should do, how we should do something, if we should do something on the day of the march. And, you can't go wrong if you're following the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Right?
That's right. We're talking with Rachel Hendricks, Director of Respect Life Ministries right here in the Diocese of Trenton. So, Rachel, this beautiful season of Lent that we're in now, is there anything in particular that you want to make aware to our listeners or things they can do, maybe some events they can attend or opportunities for them to get involved?
Yeah, so from the Respect Life perspective, the 40 days of Lent are a time for us to come together and pray for the unborn, to pray for these moms, to pray for families that are in need, right? And we are fortunate to have organizers in 2 locations for the 40 Days for Life campaign. Some of your listeners, I'm sure, are aware of 40 Days for Life. It's a campaign that was started many years ago. And the campaign is focused on 3 things: focused on prayer for the end of an abortion, fasting to end abortion, and also public witness at the abortion centers. So a lot of what the 40 Days for Life organizers do is they really want to encourage people to sign up for a time slot, a 1-hour time slot once a week, where you would go to one of the 2 abortion clinics that are identified, that are organized, where this is organized, where you would be ensured that you would not be alone. You'll be there with other prayer partners. They have kind of rules for engagement and to keep everybody safe and know what they're legally allowed to do. And it's always very peaceful. And people go to these abortion clinics to pray. There's more that you can do if maybe you're a little bit hesitant to go to abortion clinics if you've never done that before, or if you're homebound or not able to go because you have babies at home or whatever your life situation is. I'll talk about that in a second. But first I'll let you know the 2 locations for the 40 Days for Life campaigns. One is in Shrewsbury, New Jersey, which is in Monmouth County. This Planned Parenthood is located on Newman Springs Road there. And the organizers for 40 Days for Life there have kind of a table for you to look at what times are available, when other people will be there praying. And if you're interested in getting involved or just finding out more about praying at the Planned Parenthood in Shrewsbury, you can go to 40daysforlife.com/Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury is SHREWSBURY. That's 40daysforlife.com/Shrewsbury.
Is that the
All
number?
the information will be there.
Is that the number 40, or is it spelled out?
Oh, yes, it's 40.
40.
So 40 Days for Life. Yeah, good point. So people can go right there and find out all about it. And if you feel called, pray about it. If you feel called, you can sign up for a time slot. Bring a friend or two if you want, but you'll be able to see on the kind of the table that's there with all the time slots, you'll be able to see where other people are plugged into the prayer times. And the other site is in Cherry Hill, which is just outside the Diocese of Trenton in Camden County. But we have many people who are very involved in praying down there at the Cherry Hill Women's Center. And if you live closer to that area and want to get involved, you can go to 40daysforlife.com/Cherry Hill. That's one word, Cherry Hill.
Okay.
And you can find out all that's going on there, when their vigil hours are for prayer. They have a very robust group of people that fill all the time slots, so there'll be no problem finding a convenient time slot that has other people there too. And Claire Housen, she's the organizer there. Her phone number and email are on that 40daysforlife.com site. If you have any questions, you can just reach out to Claire. But I would encourage people. I totally get for some people if they've never done this before, if they've never gone to pray at an abortion clinic, it's a deeply emotional thing to do. But some people might be hesitant. I would give them two things to think about. One, perhaps you can drive to the clinic during one of the times when the vigils are going on, and maybe park across the street. Both the Planned Parenthood in Shrewsbury and the Women's Center in Cherry Hill have other businesses all around them. I would encourage you to go park your car and pray in your car.
And
you
just
wouldn't
watch.
have you wouldn't have the kind of maybe anxiety or you're a little bit nervous about, but you can just sit in your car like everybody else does, pulling up to these businesses and pray and spend some time thinking about what's happening in this clinic and how our prayers are needed. And the other thing you can do is pray at home. I remember the first time I knew about 40 Days for Life, I had like 3 or 4 babies at home. Maybe I was pregnant at the time. It's hard to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So I put little sticky notes all around my house that said 40 days. And they would just be reminders for me to pray and fast and do what I could from home. And so
Very
that's a great way to be part of this campaign as well.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Well, Rachel, again, we want to thank you for all you do here in the diocese with Respect Life Ministries, and also now for being a part of our domestic church media family on these last Fridays of the month to share all the good news. So have a blessed. Well, we'll talk to you. We'll still be in Lent next time we talk with you. So
That's right. That's
I
right.
think.
We'll
Or
check in.
will it be Good Friday? I don't know. We'll see. But anyway,
We'll stay in touch.
thank
I
you.
think we'll be, March 31st, I think.
Oh,
right?
no, that's Radiothon, but you can stop by.
All right. We'll stay in
certainly
touch.
will.
All right, very
I'll take
good.
that as an invitation.
Hey, absolutely. We'll
Yes.
talk about that. Thanks, Rachel. God bless you. We appreciate you being here
Thank
today.
you so much.
All right. God bless. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye. And friends, you stay where you are. I'll be right back. Don't go away.
For the Jews of old, the temple was the holiest place in the universe, and the spiritual center of the temple was the Holy of Holies. It was blocked off by a thick curtain, and only the high priest could enter to offer sacrifice to God. He had to have a rope tied around his ankle in case he died in there, so he could be dragged out because no one else was ever allowed in. I lead a pilgrimage to the Holy Land every year, and to this day, you can see Jewish people from around the world come to the Wailing Wall, the closest place to where the Holy of Holies was, just to touch that wall. When Jesus died, the curtain separating the Holy of Holies was torn in two, not from bottom to top, which man could have done, but in an act of God from top to bottom. Why? Because in the new covenant, God's dwelling place is you. You are the holiest place in the universe. Do you live like it? This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
It started like it does for many people, question my faith and question authority. And I feel that the reason why I left was the draw of the world. The world was pulling me away. Some people would say, Satan was working on me. He did not want me in church. He wanted me to be desperate. He wanted me to have the thoughts of suicide. I started to realize that a lot of the things that I experienced in my life were a result of my rebellion against God and against authority. coming back to the church is the first step in healing from all of the hurts of the world. I went from being desperate and in despair to finding hope and encouragement for the future. I'm on God's team. I know who I belong to, and I know where I'm going, and there's nothing that can separate me from God's love.
Take another look at the Catholic Church. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
Bishop Robert Barron on the priesthood.
Adam is construed as a priest. Adam, before the fall, is in the stance of right relationship to God. And so he's seen as a priest in the Garden of Eden as a kind of primordial temple, right? A place of right praise. What happens in sin is we lose that priestly role. We stop being priests. We start worshiping ourselves and worshiping creaturely things. So Jesus now is seen as the new Adam. He's the fulfillment of law and Torah and temple and sacrifice. Hence, he's the high priest. And so we see the cross as a place not just of Roman execution, but it's a place where the supreme sacrifice has been performed. And so the priesthood, in that sacrificial sense, continues in the mystical body of Christ. So to the present day, when I, as a priest, celebrate the sacrifice of the Mass, I'm standing in that great tradition, participating in the high priesthood of Jesus.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
This is Oblate Father Andrew Small, National Director of the Pontifical Mission Societies in the United States. A Lenten Reflection. Some say that we're no deeper than what's carved into us. It's love with all its labors that merits such a fuss. But I would add a little sad. It's only half the cup. What also makes us deeper is what we've given up. It's a lesson from the missions.
Brought to you by the Pontifical Mission Societies. To learn more about becoming a missionary right where you are, visit our website at onefamilyinmission.org. Remember, if you're baptized, you're a missionary. Through prayer and sacrifice, in word and witness, we're all part of this one family in mission.
All right, welcome back, friends. A few minutes left before we have to head out night here on this February 24th. Don't forget, guys, tomorrow is the Catholic Men for Jesus Christ Conference. You can visit the website right now and register CatholicMenForJesusChrist.org. And their speakers are Chris Stefanik, Jerry Cooney, and Mark Houck. Bishop O'Connell will be there to say Mass, be the main celebrant and homilist, as well as there'll be confessions and good food and fellowship.
And that's at St. Gregory's in Hamilton.
At St. Gregory the Great in Hamilton, New Jersey. So go to the website, check it out, CatholicMenForJesusChrist.org. It's not too late to register. They do accept you at the door if you can't pre-register, but they would prefer you did because they have to prepare for food.
And ladies, once you register your husbands for the men's conference, then you go to St. Rose of Belmar and take a look at the women's retreat they're having. And then you can meet at home at night and compare notes and just wallow in the love. Yeah, have cake, wallow in the love of Jesus Christ after that wonderful day spent with our Lord.
Amen.
And then if you have something coming up in your parish, you know, several weeks of Lent, maybe a penance service, a parish Lenten mission, a special speaker series, book study, extended hours of adoration, whatever it might be, let us know. And of course, Friday, March 17th, is St. Patrick's Day. And again, Friday in Lent, so there's probably some sort of dispensation.
Well, you say there isn't Metuchen already, right?
They already
We
announced
haven't heard
it
from Bishop O'Connell yet, so, but
in case he's listening and taking notes, Bishop Checchio and Metuchen already granted dispensation. You could have your corned beef or whatever it might be on March 17th.
I think I'm trying to think in the past if it was granted here in this diocese or not. Well, Bishop, if you're listening, you heard what Cheryl said. You got to listen to what she said.
So you make your decision.
Take Cheryl's advice.
Yeah, whatever.
Give dispensation on March 17th.
Have to meet on Saturday. Why does it have to be that?
Do you know the origin behind the Filet-O-Fish sandwich at McDonald's?
No.
It was a guy who owned a McDonald's franchise back in 1963, and
was he Catholic?
He was Catholic, and he was complaining because every Lent he'd lose money because people would go down the street to the fish place.
Oh, sure.
So he called Ray Kroc, the head of McDonald's, who owned all the the big honcho, and said, "I want to do this." And Ray Kroc says, "I don't want my restaurant smelling like fish. It's to smell like hamburgers." So they made a deal. Ray Kroc was going to have a pineapple and cheese sandwich, and he had the filet of fish, and filet of fish won by miles.
By far.
So yeah,
By far.
so that's how it came to be.
And they could have done it just for Lent, right? Okay, just for Lent, we're going to sell fish sandwiches.
But
for
it's so
Friday.
popular.
It is.
It became,
people like fish.
Became popular. The
And it's
filet
like
of
you
fish.
walk near or pass in your car with the window open, past McDonald's, you're not smelling fish.
You're not smelling anything, actually. McDonald's and Burger King, you
Kind
are.
of oil, cows, oil swimming around.
All right. Well, listen, have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week, first Friday in March already, and I'll be here on Tuesday, God willing. So have a great rest of your day, and thanks for being a part of our day. God bless you.